Greetings and salutations, this is Jason Silverain, and if you've seen any of my earlier videos, then you will know I am a huge fan of video game conservation and supporting old media. So it is my pleasure once again to be contacted by Incube8 and Spacebot Interactive to showcase one of their newer games, The Year After. Developed by Hadrian Lin in GB Studio, The Year After is a visual novel, though I would argue it is a kinetic novel, but more on that later. It is going to be released in January 2022, but I've been fortunate enough to get a press copy, and playing through it, I've had to do things a little differently this time. Normally I'd do a full playthrough of the game, showing you my genuine reactions and also acting as a walkthrough guide for those who wish to also play the game at a later date. However, due to the short and linear nature of The Year After, I don't feel that's suitable, and with the release date still far away, if I was to do it now, then honestly I would be stopping people from playing the game themselves, which would be a shame. Because in spite of its relatively short playtime and lack of choices, the tale it tells had a similar emotional effect upon me as, I would go as far to say, as The Journey, which was an absolutely beautiful game and really tugged at the heartstrings. It is really a lovely piece of minimalistic storytelling. In fact, it was just so hard to actually figure out how I was going to make a video on this, because I don't really want to spoil it for you. Perhaps it'd be best to paraphrase a description of the developer themselves, in that you are taking the role of an invisible stranger and undergoing a small emotional experience while observing a family and the consequences of a brutal winter. Time changes, seasons pass and characters age, and you will be accompanying them throughout. This story is supported by the absolutely excellent artwork that Hadrian Lin's also created. The music, on the other hand, whilst helps setting the tone, there'll be nothing that you'll remember after playing the game, but in the moment it suits so well. I will make one mention, however. When playing the press copy on emulator, there was several sound errors, but I believe this is a purely emulator issue. There was also a few minor graphical glitches at the start of cutscenes where occasionally there'd be a flash of black before the cutscene ran. Now again, this is purely emulator, but this just have to be mentioned in case that the ROM is later sold separately as opposed to just the collector's edition. However, before I get into detail about the collector's edition and to summarise my experience of the game, I would like to put one special mention out here, and that is, there has been very few homebrew games that have made such improvements to their game by changing from Game Boy to Game Boy Color. And there was such a good use of colour palettes to affect mood, to give a sense of cold or warmth, and to represent the seasons, and combined with the sprite work, it was just a wonderful, yet seemingly so simple atmospheric touch, and it's something that so many homebrew games just do not do right. So I have to really give you hats off, Hadrian Lin. That was just brilliant design work there. I cannot praise that little tiny tidbit enough, because it's something that should be there but people forget to do. So, collector's edition, what do we get? Well, it is a limited edition sealed box, limited to 250 copies. You have a numbered certification of authenticity to make sure going, hey, this is legitimate. The game itself is a clear black game cartridge, and I always do like those sort of see-through cartridges, they're kind of stylish. You get a cartridge protector with that, a game manual, though I will say you probably don't need one for this game. The Year After sticker sheet, that's okay. A silk-screened PCB with artwork on the back side. 2 enamel pins, I rather like the wolf one, they're quite cute. a game soundtrack on CD and digital download. Again, as I've mentioned, the soundtrack is very nice in the moment. I can't really see people really wanting that one. No offense, guys. Game poster, which is okay, but this is the one that got me. The exclusive Paperback Devlog. The dev did quite a few good posts on GB Studio and their experiences. And if he's good at keeping notes and explaining what he did and all his changes, then that actually might be useful for someone who wants to do their own GB Studio project. And again, I am going to have a look at this guy's website and start looking into his own devlog, because he really did explain the ups and downs of GB Studio, which I appreciate. But again, all of this is for a quite high price. It is $89.99, I believe, and that's a little hit and miss for value. I am not trying to be harsh there. It is just the fact that the game itself is a very short game. So I imagine some people may get this and then not be too happy that they finish the game so quickly. That said, they do mention this game's short playtime repeatedly, so you can't really complain. Finally, how to summarize this somewhat minimalistic review, I will confess. Well, I am honestly torn down the middle. On one hand, I really want to support the year after. It is a fantastic bit of narrative storytelling on a minimalistic level. The artwork, the music, and the atmosphere all comes together to really make a, well, emotional story that surprised me. Honestly surprised me. I thought this was going to be just a quick thing and I'd forget about it, you know, within a week or two, but I think I'm going to remember this one. This is going to be lingering in my mind for a while. But, on the other hand, it's an incredibly short game. It is borderline not a game because it's really more a kinetic novel where the player doesn't have that much agency, though there are a few secret scenes to discover, and most of those are just spotting people and seeing odds and ends and just little Easter eggs. And you can't really have any effect on the story itself. It's also incredibly expensive for that collector's edition, but it's a niche thing. It's a media of a, well, normally dead system. And I love supporting that, but it's so freaking expensive for what you get. If the game was a few hours long with like, or even just had loads of replayability, I'd be going, yeah, go for it. But when I was playing it, there was a couple of scenes. The game is really good at like making you feel like you're traveling a long distance. But there's so many empty screens as you're going from point A to point B sometimes with nothing to see or do in them. I mean, there was one moment where I'm walking through the middle of winter. It's just screen after screen of dead trees and snow. And the first time I went through it, I was like, oh, for goodness sake, can I just run through this? This is taking forever. The second time I played through, I realised it was a flipping metaphor for the harsh, brutal winter. But again, it's one of those things on the surface level. A player will just go, oh, come on, I want to get to the next thing. But when you stand back and look at it from a kind of storytelling point of view and look at it a technical point of view, you go, wait a minute, this is actually a really good metaphor. This is a really good kind of way to portray this. And, oh, it does my nuts in, because I know so many people will just see it for the surface level it is and never get kind of little context clues like that. So, I would have to say this one's a niche one. I think for certain people, they will absolutely love this, and they will probably love to have a physical copy of it. But for a lot of people, the general player, they will go, well, this was nice, but it wasn't flimming worth the money, or just it will be a play and forget. Honestly, I am torn how to say this. I know I keep saying that, and I'm rambling now, but you can sort of see my problem here. Unless Incube8 Games or Hadrian Lin themselves tell me not to, I will come back to this in January 2022, and I will do a complete playthrough of one of the choices in the game, and then you can judge for yourself. And if you enjoy it, you can go support the developer on their webpage, and I'll let you guys make up your own mind with this one. But that's months away, so hopefully I will see you again at that time. And this video, I hope it wasn't too vague. I do like to go into a bit more detail and a bit more description, but honestly I can't because it spoils the damn story if I do. Thank you, Incube8, for telling me about this one. It has been a wonderful little experience and an absolute bugger of a video to make. I will catch you all next time.